Even Woody and Buzz got under each other's plastic. Ted Lasso. Hello and welcome to Peace, Love, and Robots, a podcast about anything and everything and all that is in between. I'm your host, every week, Jeremy, and this is Season 2, Episode number 8, for October 27th, 2021. Fall has arrived in my neck of the woods. It's getting cold outside, and it's been raining here for days and days and days. It's rained so much, I'm considering running to Home Depot to see if they have any gopher wood left. And if any of the tape measures they have on sale use cubits as one of the units of measurement. I haven't heard from God yet, but it's nice to be prepared. Because I think I should be worried because 2 alpacas showed up at my door last night. Followed by 2 alligators. I guess I can do something about that later. Anyway, this podcast is brought to you by the ads you hear at the beginning and end of the show. So, if you stay around to the end, I'll forever be in your debt. Okay, you gotta shut the music off. I'll just turn it down. Technical difficulties. My sound pad is all messed up, so I've had to adjust things a bit. So hopefully the volume is okay. I gotta check the mix when I'm done. Well, that's all inside baseball. Who cares, right? I started this podcast not to talk about my mic problems. I started it as an accountability tool. And I really haven't given you all a word count update for the past few weeks. Now, this doesn't mean that I have fallen off the wagon or that I gave up the writing bug and just stopped altogether, because I've been writing a lot. There's my dog barking, if you can hear that. Well, it's less writing and more rewriting and editing because, well, that still counts. I think it still counts. I've been working on the penultimate draft of my book, My Life's Work, which was the inspiration for my November 2020 podcast project, Working Class Hero. That podcast originally started as a book, and now the podcast is a book once again. That's right, in the words of the great Milhouse Van Houten from The Simpsons, well, not really in the words, but inspired by the words of Milhouse, the podcast is back in book form. So this past week alone, I've edited or rewritten over 17,000 words. Yeah, that's a bunch of term papers like tied up together. So I'm really in the home stretch. Because the goal is to publish this book on Amazon in early November. And once it's available, I'll be posting the link to purchase over at my Substack, zaire.substack.com. And if you subscribe over there, you'll be among the first to know because it can be sent right to your email. It's that easy, folks. Now, enough about that. On to a healthy meal of crow. It takes a big man to admit when he's wrong. That means I'm huge. Because I admit I'm wrong a lot. For the most part, I'm rather quick to admit that when I'm wrong. So here I am, 2 weeks after my Ted Lasso rant, to admit that yes, I was wrong. I decided last weekend on a whim to give Ted Lasso just one more shot. And this time, it got me. And I got it. I finally understood the appeal. There's a lot about the show that I love, and there are still some things that I don't like. But overall, Ted Lasso is an excellent example of when art can do something that transcends the subject matter and speak to things about the culture without being preachy about it. Now, I was only able to binge season 1, even though the second season is also available on Apple TV Plus. So for all I know, the show goes completely off the rails. I'm not sure. But at this point, my view has been untainted by anything that happens after the end of the first season. I'm not going to give it a full review because it's been out for a while. And, well, I just am not a review guy. But I can, there's some things in the show that they touch on that I don't really have the right point of view to truly expound on. There's plenty of think pieces out there about it. You could find it if you want to. But I'm going to touch on the things that I think it says about the culture that affect me. If you haven't seen Ted Lasso, I'll do what I can not to spoil it. One of the wonders of this current age is that I was not spoiled about so much of it so far, even though I saw posts about it all the time. So I'll keep things vague. And maybe this will serve as a selling point to people who are like me, not quick to embrace what is currently in vogue. Now first, a summary. Ted Lasso is the story of a college football coach from the United States who, after a video of him celebrating after a big win goes viral, gets hired to coach a soccer team in England. The reason for his hiring is simple. The new owner of the team inherited it from her philandering ex-husband in the divorce. She wants the team to fail miserably because it will hurt her husband, who loves that team more than anything. So that's the premise, but through the show you meet an eclectic cast of characters with their own quirks and flaws, but Ted is endlessly kind and optimistic, and think of him like Mr. Rogers with a coach's whistle and a southern drawl. You would think that a character like Ted would be one-dimensional, but far from it, because Ted was originally in a bunch of ads. But Ted has his own stuff that he's dealing with, and it's slowly revealed throughout the season. The larger part of the story is how Ted is an example of being a truly good man. Postmodern prestige television shows like The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, The Shield, among others, have sort of prepared us to expect our heroes to be extremely flawed and broken, or to at least have a darker edge to them. But despite Ted having issues, none of them seem to be criminal or immoral. Ted Lasso gives us hope for the average man, that maybe men are not getting the short end of the stick on television all the time. For years, sitcom dads have been portrayed as selfish buffoons. However, in the few scenes where we see Ted being a dad to his young son, he's kind, generous, and loving. Now, not only that, he takes on a fatherly role with every one of the players, no matter their deep personality flaws. At one point, a player has to deal with a father angry at him for not playing selfishly, and Ted gives him kudos for being a team player. Ted throws a birthday party for another player who is underperforming but seems to be missing home because this is an international cast of characters. See, Ted Lasso is a gold standard dad that we can all aspire to be. I'm not saying that he's completely perfect. He has moments of terrible weakness, but he is quick to apologize to anyone that might have been affected by that. But Ted is a fully realized, nuanced character that we can finally really root for. And the underlying wonderful thing about Ted Lasso is that he presents a lofty goal for all guys to strive for. The old adage goes something like, nice guys finish last, but that's not the case. Ted connects with the audience because he's someone that we would like to hang out with. He also helps battle against the oft-cited incels who complain about how they are so nice but stuck in the friend zone. Ted is proof that there may be something else wrong with those guys who are stuck in their parents' basement in their 20s. Ted is driven, but not at the expense of others. He cares about everyone and forgives when slighted. Ted Lasso is the antidote to toxic masculinity because he's not out for himself. Just like real men are able to be gentle, kind, and supportive, and sacrificial, even to their own detriment. For a long time, I haven't seen anyone that seems to be a reflection of who I am or the idolized version of me, but now I have, at least on TV. And he has a mustache that rivals Magnum PI's. So I was wrong about Ted Lasso, and I apologize for how wrong I was. If anything, I know that at least he will forgive me, and maybe give me a biscuit in the process. What do you think? Feel free to let me know by sending me an email at peaceloveandrobotspod@gmail.com or leave me a voicemail at 585-371-8986. That's 585-371-8986. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to see more content from me, check out my Substack at zaire.substack.com. I post a new column every Monday and Friday. That's 3 times the content from me every single week. That includes this podcast and the transcript from this podcast. Yeah. I'd love to have you subscribe over there. You can even get it sent to your email. It's that easy. It's super easy. Peace, love, and robots. It's the hope that kills you.